Bah! Use an IOEBO to drag the like button to Earth's moon, where it'll make trees for the children of Earth for the next 100 years. And shoutouts to Random Production for being the first to correctly guess the location and time of Master Roshi's stone, and Paul Martin for guessing the time, but may have gotten his Kaioshins mixed up. Behind Majin Buu, the North and West Kaioshin stood at a moderate distance. They had teleported a few miles away as to not be detected, deciding to cover the remaining distance by flight. But the Jin sensed their sudden appearance, and now he had what he wanted. Below, Bibidi remained in hiding. He certainly didn't want to be spotted by the Kaioshins, who would immediately get rid of him if they had the opportunity. It was best to leave these intruders in Majin Buu's chaotic but capable hands. The Jin, meanwhile, remained calm, never smiling, only staring at the two, who might have assumed he was thinking, but in reality was merely gauging his new prey and considering if they would be worth his time. He sensed that there were others, more appetizing than these two. Furthermore, the West Kaioshin was trembling. Telepathically, she began speaking with the North. His energy, it's absolutely monstrous. What an evil presence. Will we really be able to make him hear reason? We must try, replied her comrade. At the slightest sign of aggression, we'll return to Kaioshin Kai. The two deities stiffened, ready to flee, but Majin Buu could feel their fear and hesitation, causing him to smile wildly, cracking his muscles. Majin Buu, began North Kaioshin. You do not have to follow the orders of the wizard. Renounce him, find forgiveness with us, and we will help free you from his influence. Too many words, too much trouble. More action. Without warning, Majin Buu appeared between the two celestial beings. They didn't even have time to turn around before West was kicked in the face, then struck with another brutal attack and set tumbling to the surface. She collided with the planet in a violent jolt, disappearing beneath the rubble. It can't be! The god of the North cried out. A shrill voice suddenly encouraged Majin Buu from behind. Very good! Bibidi exclaimed, snapping his fingers. Go ahead, Majin Buu. They're all yours. Destroy them! The Jin grinned at the Kaioshin, who had summoned his sword in hand and darted at the monster. The latter suddenly super extended his leg, which stretched out and violently struck the old man's chin, cutting off his approach. A sheaf of blood splurted from his mouth through the air, while he too began to fall to the ground below. Pursued by the creature, he was intercepted by the Kaioshin of the West, who leapt above to catch her companion. She then employed her mystical powers of paralyzation, attempting to contain Buu. However, he wasn't bothered in the slightest, who merely sneered at the effort. Deploying his arms at his sides, he unleashed his terrible aura, snapping the invisible shackles like they were nothing. What? Impossible! She stammered. Hundreds of years of practice at telekinesis, and a confidence that she could contain any living being, had been utterly shaken. That had been her full power, and it hadn't even lasted a second against this monster. Her will to fight was crumbling fast, if not broken already. How could they begin to fight such a plague? Snap out of it! Her comrade's voice woke her back up, but it was too late. With both hands clasped, Buu struck a powerful blow into the back of the female that annoyed him, sending her face first smashing into the ground. Too weak, too slow. It wasn't enough. The Jin moved again, so quickly it was impossible for the gods to even follow his movements. He super stretched his arms in different directions, with one gripping the North Kai by the neck and the other grabbing the goddess's leg. The girl was nearly unconscious, and the old man could barely maintain a grip on his sword. All this damage from a simple kick. Majin Buu contemptibly groaned, pulling them back towards him, ready to finish him off. But North Kaioshin, as soon as he was within range, spun suddenly, turning and using the momentum he already had, and sliced the body of Majin Buu in half, right at the torso. I got him, thought the Kaioshin. It's over! Miserable fool. He could feel him rejoice. Bitter disappointment would soon follow. While the lower part of Buu was just starting to fall, his legs suddenly moved on their own and planted a devastating kick into the god's stomach. He again spat blood, eyes glassy. North had left himself completely exposed, dropping his guard and presumed victory. He was propelled backwards with the next nonchalant gesture, as the Jin sent him towards the goddess. He raised his arm, no longer interested in these insects who hadn't managed to challenge him in the slightest. The only excitement left here was in their deaths. Buu fired an energy wave at the pair of deities to annihilate him. And nearby, Bibidi cheered him on. Yes! That's it, my Buu! Finally, those nuisance gods will be dealt with! Suddenly, West Kai opened her eyes and concentrated all her remaining energy to halt the incoming attack. A blinding explosion enshrouded them, but the Jin lost no time in rushing into the smoke. Only, they were long gone. They had inexplicably vanished. Enraged, he drummed against his chest, screaming his own name. "Calm down!" His master's strident voice cut in. Majin Buu turned, as Bibidi crafted a mystical circle in the void, incanting the secret spell he had prepared. There was no way he would let his sworn enemies escape that easily. He had been preparing this ritual for months, anticipating the much-desired moment. His plans had accounted for a potential Kaioshin retreat, and with the spell, he was capable of tracing their path and destination. He had spent his time hiding and scheming, but would not afford his enemies the same luxury. There would be no resurgence or counterattack. Today was the day to end things. "They must have teleported. In a few moments, I will find them and take you to them, no matter where they ran off to. These stupid gods have no clue I'm able to follow them, and you'll finally be able to give them everything they deserve." Majin Buu's face twisted up in a crazy, bone-chilling grin. This wasn't over. On the contrary, the best was yet to come. He dropped to the ground and turned a pile of rubble into food that he gulped down without moderation. He was about to finally have some fun. While their companions were engaged with Majin Buu in a direct confrontation, the remaining Kaioshins were waiting on Kaioshin Kai, anxious. The leader sat with the youngest, Eastern, who was unable to remain serene. Even South Kaioshin was pacing back and forth, cracking his knuckles from time to time, wishing he could intervene. This wicked magician was eradicating the weak and innocent, using this monster for his dirty work and ambition. He wouldn't be allowed to get away with it, even if it cost him his life. South Kaioshin would take them both down somehow. While he was still seething with frustration, he felt the presence of his comrades returning. He and the Eastern Kaioshin rushed to meet them. Their joy was short-lived, quickly leading to further panic as they saw the condition their friends were in. The goddess of the West was half-conscious, trembling with blood streaming down her face. As for the North, he was holding one of his arms, coughing and spitting blood as well. "What happened?" East Kaioshin asked, frightened. "You were supposed to come back if he proved unreasonable and attacked you." North Kaioshin whispered hoarsely. "He took us by complete surprise, with no time to react. I'm really sorry." No more words. Save your strength. Grand Kaioshin had joined him. His face was anxious as he knelt beside the North Kaioshin. Western Kai was slowly regaining consciousness. He then addressed the North. "Were you able to get through to him at all? Or did you at least appeal to him rationally?" the leader asked. "We couldn't communicate." The Northern began, spitting and coughing more blood. The Kaioshin gently signaled for him to rest. Before reading his mind, he saw the encounter play out before him. Majin Buu, a creature who refused to listen to reason, an unbound madness like a starved wild beast. Destruction was his only reason for being. Grand Kaioshin had hoped he would be able to appease such impulses, but after observing North's mind, he had to admit Buu's actions were irredeemable, and he was also probably unreachable given the description of events. If they could not do anything against him, it would be the end of the universe. But how could he be reached? As the vanquished Kaioshin slowly regained their composure, the god of the South still trembled with rage. He was about to insist on being taken to fight Majin Buu, to finish it now, when a sudden presence appeared near them. A powerful gust of wind scattered a large dust cloud over the area, forcing the gods to cover their eyes. When they reopened them, they were dismayed by the visage of Majin Buu himself, standing limply on his legs, chin down, scrutinizing them with a mocking grin. His teeth were white as drool pooled over his lower lip. Beside him, Bibidi was triumphant. "Perfect! After all of this time, the day has finally arrived when I'll witness the end of the gods! Majin Buu, kill them!" The Jin looked at his master like an insect. He did not need to be ordered. The muscled behemoth before him was an open invitation, a call to battle, the challenge. The others were small fry. He would not let them spoil his fun. He hurled himself at the gods in a state of ecstatic laughter. The Kaioshin quickly set their defenses, while their grand leader stepped back and crossed his arms, not wishing to get involved. South, East, and West hurried to meet Majin Buu's approach, striking the Jin's attack with their own and producing a thunderous shockwave. However, even 3 against 1, only South Kai managed to stand his ground. The others were flung backwards from the impact of the confrontation, flipping out of control until they crashed into the ground. The goddess of the West was too weak to even have hope of withstanding the shock, even at her best. She had been ejected like a twig in a hurricane. South Kaioshin, far from being intimidated, grabbed Majin Buu by the shoulders and struck a violent headbutt that knocked the spit from his mouth, causing him to fall back. but in a quick succession, Majin Buu extended his crest like a whip and began slapping his opponent, knocking the Kai off balance. The Jin followed up quickly, extending his hand and firing a powerful Kikoa that struck the Colossal South with incredible magnitude, launching him across the horizon of the planet. Eastern Kai tried to seize the opening with an attack on Majin Buu, but was easily dealt with, a single kick to his gut knocking the breath out of him. Haphazardly, the Jin followed up with dozens of ultra-fast blows to the Kaioshin's fragile body, before launching him into a nearby rock formation that crumbled upon impact. As Majin Buu chased after the youngest, North and West Kaioshins cut him off with another coordinated assault. The God of the North hurled his sword at the Majin, who merely warped his body to let the blade pass through a hole in his chest. But on the other side, Western Kaioshin caught the saber mid-spin and immediately directed its pristine edge into the neck of the Majin. Genuinely surprised, Buu was decapitated, both his head and crest falling to the surface below. "It's time! Let's go!" yelled West Kaioshin.